President Donald Trump said the U.S. is negotiating with Iran to end the war, but Iran had a different take. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Tuesday, March 24th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. The president said yesterday that the U.S. is negotiating with Iran to end the 3-week-old war. He said the sides had 2 days of very good and productive conversations that will continue throughout this week. Here he is speaking to reporters in Florida.
We have had very, very strong talks. We'll see where they lead. We have major points of agreement. I would say almost all points of agreement.
The announcement sent markets up and energy prices down as investors bet Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz could end soon. On Saturday, Trump had threatened Iran with a 48-hour deadline, originally set to run out last night, to reopen the critical shipping lane. Otherwise, he said he would launch strikes on the country's power plants. Now, he says those strikes have been postponed for 5 days.
We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Iran's take was not quite so rosy. Iran publicly insisted there were no direct or indirect conversations between the U.S. and Iran, and that it was uninterested in having them. Tehran has demanded that attacks by the U.S. and Israel stop before any talks could begin. Air traffic control audio captured the moments before and after the deadly plane crash at LaGuardia. That's number 2. On Sunday night in New York, a collision between a landing Air Canada Express passenger jet and a firefighting vehicle left 2 pilots dead. 41 people were taken to the hospital, some with serious injuries. Authorities said that most of them have been released. A recording of air traffic control communications was posted on liveatc.com. That's a website that hosts live air traffic control broadcasts. A controller can be heard pleading with the driver of an emergency vehicle to stop.
Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop.
Then, just over 15 minutes after the crash, the controller tells a pilot that he tried to prevent the collision.
Yeah, we got stuff in process for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier, and I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Federal aviation officials rejected suggestions that the airport was not properly equipped to handle its air and ground movement. Number 3. The Supreme Court appears ready to limit mail-in ballots ahead of the midterms. Yesterday, justices heard arguments over a conservative challenge to mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. Republican groups in Mississippi want to get rid of a state law that allows officials to count mail-in ballots received up to 5 days after polls close, as long as they are postmarked by Election Day. A majority of justices appeared to agree with them. If they rule in favor of the challenge, it could upend election procedures in states across the country as voters prepare to cast ballots in November's midterm elections. Trump has railed against mail-in balloting, asserting without evidence that it's riddled with fraud. He blamed the votes for his election defeat in 2020. Despite that, public records show that Trump voted by mail in today's special election in Palm Beach County, Florida. ICE officers at airports don't appear to be helping shorten security lines. That's number 4. Yesterday, immigration officers deployed by the Trump administration arrived at more than a dozen U.S. airports. They were sent there to try and ease TSA staffing shortages during a partial government shutdown. But their presence seems to have had a limited effect in reducing security lines so far. Passengers reported wait times as long as 5 hours in Houston and long delays in other cities. Officials in some locations said the ICE personnel were not assigned to help with security screening. According to some passengers, they didn't appear to be doing much at all. TSA staffers are working without pay during the partial shutdown. But ICE agents are still getting paid thanks to a massive funding increase in a Republican-backed bill last year. At number 5, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to use AI to help save dying rural hospitals. Over the next 5 years, the Trump administration will spend $50 billion to help improve rural health. Some states have proposed to use the money on drones to deliver lab samples and even prescriptions. Health Secretary Kennedy has suggested AI nurses could be deployed. And Dr. Oz, who now holds a senior government health job, has suggested robots could give ultrasounds. Some health experts have expressed concern about how much difference the $50 billion will make. Some pointed out that the funds will not target states with high death rates among their rural populations. And Alaska's health commissioner has warned that AI is not going to solve everything. The rural healthcare industry has long faced tight budgets, doctor shortages, and challenges reaching patients in remote areas. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimated that rural areas will lose $137 billion in Medicaid funding over the next decade. That's a lot more than the $50 billion in funding they're expecting to receive. Wildfires are ripping through an unusual part of the country. That's number 6. Forests and grasslands are burning across the Great Plains. In Nebraska, a historic wildfire event has burned more than 500,000 acres. In South Dakota and Wyoming, strong, dry winds are flaring up big blazes. Arizona and Colorado have also seen fires popping up remarkably early in the season. That has firefighters concerned. These early fires could be a sign of a bad fire season ahead. And western states have been baking under record-hot temperatures after a balmy and dry winter. The lack of seasonal rain and snow has drastically dried out grasslands in places like Nebraska. And at number 7, scientists may have figured out why exercise can lower Alzheimer's risk. Twice so far in my journalistic career, I have had the pleasure of sitting next to science journalists in newsrooms. And if there's one thing they taught me, it's that when there's an exciting new study that took place in mice, you have to be absolutely clear that it was in mice, and mice are different from humans. Nevertheless, here's what we learned from an exciting new study in mice. During and after exercise, the liver releases a protein that travels to the brain and helps repair the protective blood-brain barrier, at least when we're talking about mice, which we are. In humans, the blood-brain barrier typically weakens with age, which contributes to health problems, including a heightened risk of dementia. For these mice in the study, though, memory and learning abilities improved substantially when levels of the protein rose in their brains. And there's reason for humans to celebrate too. The researchers found the same protein in the bloodstreams of physically active people. So, if you want to feel like a cognitively nimble mouse today, try and find the time to take a brisk walk. All right, you're all caught up. It's a great time to subscribe to the Washington Post during our spring sale. Right now, you can get a core subscription for just 50 cents a week for the first 6 months. After that, it renews at $14 every 4 weeks, but you can cancel anytime. A core subscription gets you unlimited access to the Post on the web and on our apps. And it's the best way you can support the work of Post journalists and this podcast. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.